Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2022-23 season. My name is Dan, and we haven't done a strategy stream in a while. Kyle in the chat has come straight in and said, finally, the strategy stream. It's been a while since we had one of these. Yeah, it's been not just a couple of weeks, but it's actually been, I think, 3 weeks since we last did one. Because obviously last week was the first week of the international break. The week before that, don't think I did one because the situation with the fixtures was still so up in the air. It was kind of difficult to go to do a stream, to make content really. But we are back, guys. We're on the Monday before the Premier League returns. I know a few of you guys are probably not watching this live. Maybe you're watching the England versus Germany game or whatever other international game you're kind of into for this evening. But for those of you who are here, it's very nice to have you here indeed. So, yeah, Game Week 9. I think, you know, obviously I've made a few videos on Game Week 9 already. Hopefully you guys have checked those out already. But I feel like now, the Monday is the time where we need to start properly thinking about Game Week 9. Like, this is like, we've had our time off. We need to start having a little think about the upcoming game week. That's what I'm thinking anyway. So, yeah, quickly to just start off, my wildcard last week went pretty well. 66 points. In the end, that was a game week rank of 1 million, which I think is reasonably decent. I was pretty happy with it. We've obviously the season hasn't been growing great so far, but we got an over 1 million rank boost, which is really, really significant. And I think it's only going to get better from here. Now, the biggest bit of strategy that I think we need to be thinking about right now is, you know, whether you wildcarded last, well, if you haven't, I will get this sentence right. If you haven't wildcarded for Game Week 9, if you've already used your wildcard in Game Week 8 like me or maybe previously, then you're probably going to have a few issues with some injuries that have taken place over the international break. Now, it's usually overstated how bad injuries are. Often players, you know, they come back from international duty early for other reasons other than injuries, or injuries that they pick up during international break are only minor, and by the time they return to actual Premier League football, they're fine. So I don't want you guys to panic too much. We're going to get much more information as we enter the later stages of this week, as we grow closer and closer to Game Week 9. But certainly for now, there is a few players that I think we need to take a little note of potential injuries and how that might impact FPL. So let's, I guess let's have a look at the player availability thingy. As we can see on the fantasy football website, and some of this is reasonably accurate, some of it isn't really. I think the key ones here really are Tierney sustained a little bit of an injury, but we feel like Tierney is going to be okay for the weekend. So those of you who have Zinchenko in your team, I don't think Zinchenko is automatically going to come back in. I think Zinchenko is still potentially injured as well. So that's going to be a difficult one, Tierney versus Zinchenko. But I think Tierney is going to be available. Thomas Partey looks like he's out. I don't know if that impacts how many Arsenal defenders you want to have in your team. We've got players like Patterson, who did sustain what looked like a little bit of a nasty injury over the international break, which I'm kind of gutted about because I was really looking forward. I saw like 2 6-pointers in a row. I've been watching him play pretty much every single game week, Patterson. I've just been so impressed. I thought he's been so good. He was even on for some bonus points in that West Ham game at one point, which looked pretty nice. Honestly, he's going to be a real loss. He is going to be a real loss because I did actually, prior to the injury, I would have said he was the number 1 4 million-ish defender to go for at the moment, but wasn't to be. One that you guys are probably pretty interested in is this Isak injury. I don't know how I feel about this one. It doesn't look great. And the problem is with Isak is that he's got this nice game against Fulham, but after that, it's Brentford, which is kind of a little bit hit and miss. We've got Man United, which is a little bit hit and miss. Everton is okay, but then you've got Spurs after that as well. To be fair, even Everton haven't been horrendous from a defensive point of view. I don't think Everton are a team I would necessarily target, unless you've got like a Haaland or a Salah or a Kane or someone like that. This is probably not a fixture that I would target necessarily, the Everton game. So it kind of makes you wonder, is he worth selling? I don't know. I don't know. I think it has to be considered. I think Wilson is going to be available. And the good thing about Wilson being available is that it's a real natural replacement, and Isak doesn't have to play necessarily. And I believe that Isak is actually going to move to the wing anyway. When Wilson and Isak are playing together, I think Isak is going to play on the wing. You know, we'll have Sam Maximan and Isak on either wing, and then we'll have Callum Wilson through the middle. So I actually genuinely am wondering, particularly if Isak is out for the Fulham game, because obviously the Fulham game presents a really, really nice opportunity for some, attacking returns. After that, if he's not available for that, if he's going to be playing on the wing, I don't know. I don't know if I would keep Isak right now, especially when Mitrovic, for example, and yeah, there have been some reports about Mitrovic picking up a knock over international duty, but apparently it's very, very minor. It's not going to impact Mitrovic's ability to play football, play for Fulham. It's not going to discount Mitrovic. So I don't think Mitrovic is a worry. I wonder if you're on Isak rather than Mitrovic, maybe that's a switch worth going for. Possibly. Something to think about. Other players that got injured, I'm trying to think. Oh, Digne got injured, didn't he? We know about that one. Yeah, gutting. I know not many of you people have gone for... You people. Who do I think I am? I know not many of you guys have gone for Digne, but I know a few people did. And he continues to troll. He really does continue to troll, this time by picking up an injury. Gibbs White picked up a slight knock on international duty as well with the under-21s. And aside from that, I think that's pretty much all of it. Unless you guys can think of any other players that I may have forgotten, then I'm not really sure. I think those are the main players worth talking about. There have been a couple of minor knocks, players returning early to the camp, but nothing really significant, I don't think. So, look, we'll find out more at the end of the week, but right now, I would start thinking about your Isak replacements, because I think he's going to be the big one that most of you guys own. Like, what is his ownership right now? 7.9%. I know that sounds low, but I know a lot of you guys do have Isak. I completely understand why you have got Isak as well. He's a really, really good pick. So, yeah, I guess first and foremost, should we have a look at some Isak replacements? I think that would be a sensible place to start. And then we'll have a look at some other things, some other players to potentially target. I know some of you guys will probably want to talk about early captaincy thoughts as well. Spoiler alert, it's pretty much Haaland at this point, isn't it? But, okay, forwards. So if we just go through all of the forwards, I want to go since game week 3. That gives everyone 5 games. Actually, it gives some players 4 games. So let's go from game week 2, because then all players have played at least 5 games, you would say. Most players have played at least 5 games. Most teams have played at least 5 games, possibly. And we'll go per appearance. I'm going to order this. And by the way, this, guys, is Fantasy Football Hub, the tools we always use on this stream. If you want to go check out Fantasy Football Hub, just click on the link at the top of the description if you want to go check that out. We have got a super chat, a £17.99. It's someone random. My sugar daddy is back with the super chats. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much. Let's see what you got to say, someone random. Let's see what you got to say. I screwed my wildcard. I thought I keep my transfers after wildcard, so I did it thinking I would have 2 transfers for game week 9. Oh man, that is a mistake we've all made in the past. Free hits and wildcards. You can't roll your transfers after that. I wouldn't panic too much. I used a wildcard with 2 free transfers in the bank as well, but just because I wanted to wildcard, and the situation with the game week 7 being cancelled kind of meant that I had 2 free transfers when I went into my wildcard, so I wouldn't worry about too much. I did exactly the same as you, and I did it on purpose, so it's really not so bad. But anyway, you said I will have to, you thought you'd have 2 transfers, although not very bad. I have to wait to get my team together. Lucky I had 0.4 in the bank, so I can go Isak to Tony, and that's a pretty decent one. It's a pretty decent one. Hopefully we're gonna figure things out. We're gonna figure things out. Mateo Quirk is in the chat as well. Was excited to own Isak. It's a shame. It is a shame, man. It's a shame. Of course, says Dan's getting a takeaway tonight now thanks to someone random. I've already got my ready meal. Mrs. FPL Mate is on a night shift tonight, so I've got my ready meal in the fridge ready to go. 6 minutes in the microwave, and that's all I need, really, and no takeaways. I mean, I'm more tempted to spend it on FIFA 23 packs, to be honest, but I will try and resist. I'll try and resist. YouTube won't release this money to me for at least a month. So, anyway, back to the top forwards, I guess. So no surprise, Haaland is at the top. No surprise, Kane is up there as well. So I think there is maybe possibility to go for Kane as Isak upgrade. You're probably going to have to find the money elsewhere to do that. But if we go on Harry Kane, I'm just going to order this by transfers in. If we go to Harry Kane, you can see that his fixtures are kind of mixed, but also kind of good. So, for example, Arsenal, Brighton, Everton, Man United, Newcastle, that 5 fixtures in a row, ordinarily, I don't think I would recommend going for a player like on this run of fixtures. You know, if it's a Jared Bowen or a James Maddison or, you know, I don't know. You know, just like a kind of a mid-range player like a Phil Foden maybe, you probably would, actually Phil Foden you maybe would, but generally speaking, you would not be targeting necessarily these game weeks. But Kane has been in some really good form like so far this season, and you feel like some of these fixtures do kind of favour him. He likes a game against Arsenal. He often scores against Arsenal, you know. We've got penalties as well, of course, which always helps with even in the more difficult games. We've got Everton at home. That's another one of Harry Kane's favourite fixtures. In fact, if we go to Transfermarkt and go on Kane, I think I have shown this off in previous streams. I think I did it in last week's Game Week 8 stream, just to say, you know, we really need to go for Harry Kane against Leicester. But there's still a little bit of value there. Of course, it would have been better to go for him last week, but look, if you didn't go for Kane last week, you didn't go for Kane last week. You got more opportunities. So, you can see that if we order by goals, Leicester obviously is Harry Kane's favourite opponent. Like, that's like a fairly well-established fact. Everton, though, are up there as well. Arsenal are up there as well. So, you know, over the next 3 game weeks, he plays 2 of his favourite teams. And, you know, if you got him last week, he plays 3 of his favourite teams, which is just mad. Top 3 in 4 game weeks. Quite mad. People saying Twitch stream after this. Yes, there will be a Twitch stream. I'll talk about that later on, though. I don't want to bore the people who are here just for the FPL stuff. Someone random with another super chat. Okay, right. We're buying packs tonight. Yeah, but my problem is my team is very game week 8 optimised with a few games cancelled. Oh, well. Did get 93 points. Dude, you got 93 points. How can you complain? That's insane. You must have had the most insane rank rise with that. I mean, I got a 1 million rank rise with 66 points. That's insane. Honestly, you should be very, very, very happy. You should be very happy with yourself, someone random. Like, you smashed it, mate. Honestly, you smashed it. Well done. Like, genuinely, congratulations. Anyway, so Kane, good option. Look, we know about Kane. He is captainable as in some of these game weeks as well. Like, for example, game week, what is it that Man City don't play? Game week 12. Yeah, game week 12. Maybe it gives you an option to captain Kane in game week 12. I don't know how I feel about that. Manchester United away. I don't know. To be fair, this Manchester United game is a game that, you know, Man United might struggle in that, because Man United do, I know people say, oh, Man United perform well against the top teams because often they can counter them and, you know, beat the high line. But Spurs play pretty deep, and Spurs play a similar kind of tactic. Is it a similar kind of tactic? Not really. But Spurs do sit deep. They're prepared to let the other team have the ball. And I don't think that's going to favour Manchester United. So I do think Spurs could do pretty well there. Could be pretty good. Matthew says, disappointed not to see you playing for YouTube All Stars. I'm sorry. I've not got enough clout. Maybe one day. Maybe one. If FPL gets big enough and they need some FPL personalities in there, then maybe we'll see. Right, so we've spoken about Kane. We need to add some other players. So Isak, obviously, no. Firmino, no surprise. I'm going to say he's probably not a great option just because he is rotation risk and kind of not very consistent. Mitrovic I like, Jesus I like, Tony I like, and Wilson I like. I would also probably say Solanke could be worth a shout, potentially. And aside from that, I mean, any love for more pay? What are the fixtures like for Everton? They have, like, some okay fixtures, don't they? Yeah, got Southampton next. Other than that, not really. Okay, so more pay, you know, he can stay in the troll bin. He can stay in the troll bin where he belongs. So let's only show selected players and have a look at some of these players, how they've performed so far this season. So it's, generally speaking, all of these players, I think, are options, and they all come at slightly different price ranges. Kane at that high level. Mitrovic is kind of your obvious pick, you'd say. Very, very obvious. Omri with a super chat says, or when you get to captaincy, Tony rather than Haaland for this game week. I just brought in Haaland after I used Isak captain game week 8. Break the template, gang, is coming. Keep it up, Content King. Thank you very much, Omri. Yeah, I mean, breaking the template is something that I very much like. Let's talk about captaincy a little bit later on in the stream. I'm not going to stream for too long today because I appreciate a lot of people want to watch the other football games, and also I want to get back on FIFA. But in terms of these forwards, Mitrovic is your obvious pick. Your no-brainer pick. Your slam dunk pick. You don't even need to think about it. It's just like obvious as your kind of Isak replacement if you do decide to replace Isak. Obviously, Jesus is... I still think Jesus is an option. I don't think he would be that high on the list compared to some of these other players, but I still think Jesus is an optional. I wouldn't say he's quite ready for the bin yet. We'll put it that way. We've got players like Tony... You know, great fixture this week. Who is it? Bournemouth he plays this week? Bournemouth? Yeah, Bournemouth away. Very good fixture. He's showing some good underlying stats. We've got Callum Wilson, who I think is a really nice differential. I know a lot of people are talking about Solanke as kind of breaking the template, trying to go for a differential in Solanke. But if I'm totally honest, my favourite differential in terms of forwards is got to be Wilson. And I don't think many people will be going for him. If we look at transfers in so far this week... When we look for Wilson, I mean, where is he? All the way down here. Just 473 FPL managers have brought in Callum Wilson so far. I cannot explain how few people that is. In a game where 10 million players are playing and only 473 of them have brought in Callum Wilson. I like this differential a lot. I think he's going to be playing very well. I really like this fixture against Fulham. He's going to be back on penalties. He's going to be playing centrally. He's going to be the key to everything that's going on at Newcastle when they get all their players back. You know, we're going to see Sam Maximan come back. We're going to see Bruno Guimaraes come back before long as well. And Wilson is going to be in the centre of all of this. I know a lot of people don't like Callum Wilson because they say, well, he's going to get injured. He's going to get injured. Yeah, hell yeah, he's going to get injured. But if you own him when he's not injured, who cares? People said the same about Haaland, by the way, before the start of the season. I know everyone's kind of completely changed their tune on that. Because believe me or not, there were a few Haaland doubters before the beginning of the season. I was never really too concerned with his injury record, though, because, like I say, the same thing I'm saying about Wilson is it doesn't matter if they're injury prone. It doesn't matter because if you have them when they're not injured and they are absolutely smashing it, that's all that matters. If Wilson does really well for you for the next 3 game weeks and then gets injured, who cares? He got you all of those points. Even if you have to take a -4 to remove him, you probably made up for that by the fact that you were able to go for that superior FPL asset. So, look, I like Wilson a lot. If you want to go for a differential forward, Wilson would be my favourite Isak replacement. And if I'm on a wild card right now, I probably do go for Callum Wilson. If I find out that Mitrovic's injury is... Oh, he's not even injured. He's got a knock. He's going to be fine. But say Mitrovic was not fine, I feel like Wilson would be my #1 replacement for him as well, for me personally. But that's because I like something a little bit different. Obviously, Mitrovic is the obvious player. But yeah, Tony, Mitrovic, they are obvious standard ones. Both got good fixtures. Both shown that they're more than capable of picking up FPL points so far this season. Probably Mitrovic slightly more than Tony. Tony has outperformed Mitrovic more recently, but you feel like Mitrovic has got that little bit more edge. You can see he's taking almost twice as many shots as Tony per match. He is, gaining those more dangerous areas, getting more, chances from those dangerous areas. In fact, if we change to... I wonder if we change to goal threat and have a look at the non-penalty XG, what's the differences here? So non-penalty XG, Jesus is top with 0.69 per game. This is per appearance. Mitrovic 0.66 XG per appearance, which is the same as Harry Kane. Wilson 0.48. So again, Wilson looking like a very good option. I know there's less data to go on with Wilson, but we have enough historical data to know that when Wilson's fit, he's very, very good at footy. And then we've actually got Tony down in 5th out of these players, out of these select picks. People are asking about Iheanacho as well. I don't know. You feel like there's always a bit of a risk with those Leicester strikers, really. Not really feeling it. But yeah, is there any other options under 7 million or under? Mitrovic or Solanke would probably be my top 2 favourites, to be fair. Those would be my favourites to go for. So, yeah. Maybe, or, even, is there a possibility for maybe a Nottingham Forest forward to go for? Maybe, possibly not. Awoniyi, I haven't thought he was that good, to be fair, so far. Awoniyi, I haven't been too impressed with him, so I feel like maybe let's just click on more just to get the fixtures. But the fixtures for Bournemouth are pretty good. You know, Brentford this week, Leicester next week, at home, then Fulham, then Southampton. After game week 9, the fixtures do look quite good. So yeah, for that reason, Solanke and his last season's antics with Solanke, you get the feeling that he could be okay. He could be okay. Daka is injured. Vardy being benched. Nacho seems like a pretty good pick, to be fair. I mean, look, it's risky. Vardy is being benched, but is Vardy staying on the bench forever? Do you think he's staying there? Surely he gets his chance. Daka looks like he's coming back from injury as well. Yeah, it's an illness, so he's possibly going to be back for this game week. Seems too risky for me. I would actually probably rate... I don't know. I don't know who's going to start. That's the truth of it. That's why I'm not touching any of the Leicester forwards personally. It's too much rotations. Which 3 forwards am I picking on a wild card? Obviously I'd pick Haaland and then 2 out of these guys. I'd probably go Haaland, Mitrovic and Wilson. That's probably the 3 I would go for on a wild card. I will update my wildcard draft on Friday. I'll make another wildcard draft video on Friday, and I'll particularly when we've got the injury information, because I know you guys will appreciate that if you guys are on wildcards. We'll do that. We'll do that later. No love for Watkins. No, I don't think so. I don't trust Aston Villa nearly enough. But anyway, there's your forwards. Again, Fantasy Football Hub. Thank you so much to Fantasy Football Hub, to them for providing these fantastic Opta stats. They are very, very useful. They are very, very useful indeed. Any other... right, okay. Something else I did want to have a look at on Fantasy Football Hub is the points predictions, because I said I'll talk about captain, so we are going to do that. So, I'm on the Game Week 9 AI algorithm predicted most points for Game Week 9. Haaland is coming out on top quite clearly for this game week. 7.9 predicted points. And you're not totally surprised by that. He's been doing that pretty much every week, hasn't he? He's been doing so well so far this season. Like, you wouldn't be surprised if he scored a hat-trick every week for the rest of the season. Got De Bruyne, 6.9 predicted points. But, you know, if you've got... Everyone's got Haaland. So it's kind of like, if you've got Haaland and De Bruyne, you're just going to captain Haaland, aren't you? Salah's up there with predicted points. I think that's mostly based on historical data, but you can see that Salah's predicted points aren't quite as high as they could be. I mean, actually, to be fair, he's still pretty high on predicted points. I mean, he hasn't been as bad as people have made him out to be. He's just been bad for his standard. You know, you still would say that Salah is better than, you know, James Milner or something like that. Like, who's going to score more goals this season? Who's going to get more FPL points, Salah or James Milner? Probably Salah, right? But obviously by his own very lofty standards, he hasn't been great. But he's still been fairly decent. Vardy has predicted high points. Obviously, that would probably be a little bit higher if he was guaranteed minutes, but he's not. But if Vardy plays in this game, you just know that he's cooking. Foden is up there. Cancelo's up there. Harvey Barnes, interestingly, is predicted slightly higher than Maddison, because Maddison actually, he often scores from low XG. That's the kind of player he is. So... he's kind of a little bit of a difficult one for computers to work out. Max French says, Son or Kane, please answer. Kane is the better pick, but Son allows you to spend more money in the, get more good forwards. And Son also is a nice player that you can transition to Salah in game week 13, because I do want to make a quick note of this, guys. Like, this is something we definitely need to be thinking about. I have mentioned this, but I'll go over it again very quickly. But basically, you want to have some Liverpool players for this run of fixtures. Like, you guys know that. I mean, to be fair, it would only be, because it's the World Cup break, it would be this run. Maybe even with the West Ham game as well. That run of fixtures, West Ham at home, Nottingham Forest away, Leeds at home, Tottenham away, Southampton at home. Particularly the Southampton, Leeds and Nottingham Forest games. Geez, you really want to have some Liverpool players, whether that's a Salah and captain him in these games. I mean, you can captain Salah quite easily in game week 12. There's not too many other options with Haaland out, where all of Man City players out in 12. we do need to be thinking about that. So, look, De Bruyne to Salah in game week 12 looks good. Son to Salah in game week 12 looks good. Maybe game week 13 if you've got Son. So those kind of players are going to be really useful to you because they give you an option to go for Salah. Similarly with, Man City midfielders, if you've got Phil Foden, for example, I think Phil Foden is an absolutely fine pick right now because you can switch him to Luis Diaz in this game week 12 kind of area. Saka as well. People have been mentioning in the chat Saka. Maddison or Saka. I prefer Maddison to Saka, by the way. Want to go in on that one. I do prefer Maddison to Saka as an FPL pick right now. But yeah, if you've got Saka, for example, Saka to Diaz in that game week. If you've got Cancelo, I'm really eyeing up this one. Cancelo across, in game week 12, obviously that's a difficult fixture. I'm really considering Cancelo over to Trent for a couple of game weeks. I know there are some decent fixtures here, but I don't know. I feel like we got to get on Trent. You know what might be quite nice as well? If we look at Robertson's price, it's dropping. He could be 6.6, maybe even 6.5 million by the time game week 12 or 13 rolls around. And if that is the case, he is going to be a really, really, really decent pickup. A really decent pickup in that area. So yeah, if we're going back to strategy for a second, these Liverpool players, just find a route to get them. Can you do De Bruyne or a Son to a Salah? Can you do a Foden or a Saka to a Luis Diaz? Can you get any of your defenders? Have you got any defenders around the 6 million mark? Maybe a Reece James, for example. Even if you don't want to sell Cancelo, you maybe want to sell Ruben Dias. Maybe you can sell him and take him to an Andy Robertson or a Trent Alexander-Arnold. These are the kind of questions. The Heroic Doses says thoughts on Solanke on a wild card. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. He wouldn't he's one of my top picks, I guess, in the forward position. We spoke about that a little bit, didn't we, already? But he wouldn't be my number one pick. I know a lot of people are going for Solanke as that differential, but I prefer Callum Wilson as that differential. If you can handle the fact he's probably going to be playing a few less minutes. But Solanke I do like, particularly if you're able to reinvest that money that you're saved by going for Solanke elsewhere. The problem is with Solanke is, if you're not going for Kane, because to me right now, the top two premiums to go for are Haaland and Kane. The difficulty with Kane is he takes up a valuable forward slot. If you are saying, okay, I'm not going to go for Kane, I'm going to free up that forward slot, and then you're using that forward slot on Solanke, it's kind of is this worth it? Is this worth it? Is this worth sacrificing Kane for? It's definitely something that you can do. But I think it's one of those ones that you want to think about before you do, rather than just kind of going in blindly on that one. Anyway, back to captaincy. So these are the highest predicted points. I would say, of these, look, anyone on the first page of the highest predicted points is got to be worth a shout. Even if it's a real differential shout. We've got Tony up there as well. 5 predicted points against Bournemouth. The difficulty has been with Tony is that, as always, it's a penalty thing, isn't it? Penalties inflate his stats quite a lot. Will he get a penalty? Who knows? You could say a similar thing to a Haaland. Well, Haaland might not even be on penalties. We don't know. But you could say a similar thing about Salah or Vardy, maybe, I guess. But yeah, certainly Haaland, huge captaincy player. He's the slam dunk, the no-brainer of the bunch. If you can't be bothered to try and be clever, if you don't want to be clever, you don't want to be differential, you want to be safe, you're happy with how your season's going. Oh, a little cat visitor. Do we say hello, Milton? Ooh. Who wants to say, a live hello to a cat? Hello. Ooh, he's been outside. You smell like bonfires. Been bonfires in my area. There we go. FPL cat. Oh, you can sit on my lap, I think, for the stream. That's very, very adorable. That's why you're my best friend, Milton. That's why you're my best friend. Not because I don't have any other friends. Anyway. So yeah, Haaland, no-brainer. Such an obvious captaincy pick that you should just pretty much just do it. It's very difficult for me to advise against anyone other than that. If you're going to go differential, people are saying hi to you in the chat, Milton. If you're going to go differential, Salah is I would say Salah is genuinely a captaincy option for this game week against a kind of a new look Brighton team. If you still have Salah for whatever reason, I think he is an option for captaincy. If you really, really wanted to be different, I think Maddison is definitely an option. Again, kind of risky because you never know what you're going to get with Maddison. But when Maddison hits the right form, he absolutely kills it. And we saw last game week just how good Maddison can be when he is in the hitting the right notes. Milton, apparently Jeremy's cat is also sitting next to him. So you've got a little cat friend called Ringtail. He's so cute, man. Like, honestly, this dude is my best friend. The only reason like he doesn't usually come in this room is because I like close the door, because I don't want to disturb like Morgan if she's in the house as well. But this cat is my best friend. Like, he's my lockdown baby, basically. And I've always worked to hide him, so yeah, lots of attention. Anyway, we probably shouldn't be talking about cats in an FPL stream. That ain't right. So yeah, Maddison, I like him. Explosive player. When he's in the right form, he is absolutely insane. He's got a really nice fixture. Nottingham Forest at home. We like that a lot. We really like that. What does Milton think about captaincy? Milton would probably go for Maddison. He's a bit rogue. He's a bit rogue like that. Someone's watching me from a cat cafe. Nice, nice. Milton, they all love cats. They all love cats. No, I'm sure they don't all love cats. Does he support Arsenal too? Yeah. Look, let's stop talking about the cat. I can't help it. Why are you looking up at me like that? Purring. And then finally, Tony. I would say Tony is the final of the 4 options. Anyone outside of that is probably a little bit too rogue. But I kind of like Tony. Oh, he's laying on his back now. Oh, I can't get enough of you, you beautiful, gorgeous little fluffy boy. Tony, yeah. Again, you wonder if Tony is going to need a penalty to get that, you know, that big score that we're all seeking. We're all seeking that big score. We know Haaland can get a big score from open play. No problem. We know Salah can get a big score from open play. Although arguably you would say that Salah needs a penalty as well to get a big score, but we've seen so many times him get these big scores without penalty. Maddison is capable, like, you know, 3 or 4 times per season, he goes nuts. Goes absolutely nuts and gets these big scores. Maybe he gets a free kick or something in there, but usually not. He doesn't need the penalties. Whereas Tony, yes, the penalty could absolutely happen, but you take a risk on that. Penalty happens. Tony scores 1 goal from open play. Penalty goal as well. Maybe gets an assist in there. That's what's going to take Tony to that next level. Remember, the Maddisons and the Salahs of this world do get extra points for doing the same thing. They get an extra point for a goal. They get an extra point if their team keeps a clean sheet as well. I mean, you wouldn't be totally surprised if Leicester kept their first clean sheet of the season, Nottingham Forest at home. If they're going to do it at any point this season, you'd say that this is a pretty good opportunity, right? A pretty damn good opportunity, you know? So, yeah, I would say those are the top 4 picks for captaincy. Ditcher says, I think it's too early to go differential. Just keep template for now. And after game week 24, differential brains should start working. Maybe. Look, I don't know if I completely agree. Last season, the reason I got ahead so early is because I went very different very early. And I've tried it again this season and it hasn't really worked out. But that's very much a play style preference. You don't get to right to the top by going completely template. You have to kind of break the mold a little bit to get ahead. And you kind of have to take that risk. You have to kind of decide for yourself, do I genuinely believe this player will outscore this other player? And therefore, am I willing to take the risk on that happening? Now, if I think Haaland is going to outscore Maddison, I'm picking Haaland. If I think Maddison is going to outscore Haaland, then I take a step back and I say, okay, I could captain Maddison, but if I do and it doesn't work out, and I have to acknowledge that it possibly won't work out, I'm going to take a big L. And I would take a big L. A very big L indeed. So that's the decision you guys have to make when going differential. I don't think it's a case of do not go differential. I think it's a case of, you know, do genuinely believe that your player is going to outscore the popular version. And if you do, then are you willing to take that risk? The flip side would be just going differential for the sake of it, which I agree. Right now, going differential for the sake of it is kind of pointless. You know, it's not really going to get you anywhere. If you get to a certain point in the season where you are forced to take risks to try and achieve your targets for the season, then completely fair enough. That really does make sense to take those risks. Players you don't necessarily are going to be quite as good as the popular picks, but you want to take that chance. The off chance that your pick, you don't think it's got as good chance of scoring well as the other player, but you want to take that risk because you kind of have to. Later on in the season, that's when that kind of thinking comes into play. Luke says, are you happy with a 2.6 million? Think you still have a chance of finishing high rank? I always think I've still got a chance of finishing high rank because of the way I play FPL. It's very volatile, and in any given game week, I could have a big swing. The last game week, I got a swing of 1 million places. It's decent. It's pretty good. Look, would I have chosen to be at 2.6 million at this stage of the season when we approached the game week 1 deadline? Of course not. I took a few risks. They didn't pay off. But I really do believe that that I can get back on track before too long. I'm going to do it with some smart picks, some detailed research, some differential picks, some differential shouts that I truly believe in, and we're going to get back on track. Believe it in the words of Naruto Uzumaki. Okay, so there's your captains. Basically, I would say those are your options. In terms of the top transfers to bring in, I mean, let's have a look at a 4-game week prediction, right? Let's go for a 4-game week prediction. So over the next 4 game weeks, oh, sorry, Milton, I didn't know you were still there. I accidentally gave him a little, little kick in the bum and gave him a little fright. Oh well. Yeah, in terms of the top picks, well, the highest predicted algorithm points over the next 4 game weeks, Son comes out on top, then Kane, then Salah and Haaland. Of course, Haaland and the Man City players don't even have a fixture in game week 12. So the fact that Haaland sits there, in 4th place, despite playing, 75% of the games of everyone else, 25% less than everyone else, then that tells you all you need to know, really. It tells you all you need to row. No, don't row. Vardy is up there because he's, historically been the starting striker for Leicester, but at certain times, we do need to outsmart the computers, and we can do that by, saying pretty unanimously that we probably know that Vardy is not going to be playing every single game week. But Barnes is up there, which is interesting. I slightly prefer Maddison, but I can see why Barnes would be an interesting option. Sterling's up there. Reece James is up there. I've been banging the drum of Reece James quite a lot recently. I think he will come good under Graham Potter. I really do. We've not really seen enough. Well, we haven't. Well, in the Premier League, we haven't seen any Graham Potter Chelsea so far. So, Alexander-Arnold is always going to be up there. I think the time to own Alexander-Arnold is from game week 12. That's when I'd be looking to own him. To be fair, I really am thinking of the Cancelo to Trent switch. I kind of am hoping that Trent drops a little bit more. I think it's possible because if Liverpool concede against Brighton, Arsenal, and Man City, and given the way Liverpool have been playing, you can really imagine them conceding in all 3 of their next 3 games, even if it's only 1 goal per game. That's going to be enough to make a lot of people sell Trent, and that's going to bring some real opportunities to get him for a decent price. If we can get Trent Alexander-Arnold for somewhere in the region of 7.2 million around game week 12, that would be an insane pickup. Like a real bargain, And I think even after the Brighton game, I think a lot of people will be selling Trent ahead of Arsenal and Man City. And more for them, really, because on the horizon is that game week 12, which looks really, really good. Josh says, I'm thinking of going against Reece James from game week 13 to 16 in favour of Cancelo. Is it crazy? No, I don't think so. Look, there's times to own players. The next 4 look good for Reece James. The 4 after that don't look as good. Like, that's a fact. So, look, Reece James now looks good. But again, Reece James, another one of those players that you could potentially switch to a Liverpool defender in game week 13, possibly. In game week 13, Chelsea play against Manchester United, you can see here. And Liverpool play against Nottingham Forest. So you're going to probably expect that those Liverpool players will get a few more points. Tony Haaland, Maddison, potential price rise. Is that right? We'll have a look at some price rises before the end of the stream. We are going to wrap up soon. What else do we need to look at? What else am I going to look at? Oh yeah, I was going to just look at in general who have been the best kind of picks over the last couple of game weeks, who have been performing well recently. So over the last few game weeks, top performers, I think we discount Firmino just because we know that's not going to continue. But it's really the forwards, man. Like, I swear, like Haaland, Firmino, Isak, Kane. But Sterling is one who has been looking pretty good. So I think he is he's an option. Oh, of course, says a like reminder. Yes, like reminder. Please like the stream. Really, really, honestly, I cannot explain. It really does help out the channel so much. Martinelli's still up there. Jack Grealish, he's only played one game, so limit about data. But yeah, Tony. A few people have spoken about Bruno Fernandes, but I think the time has passed. Manchester United's fixtures are just not looking good. Not looking good. We've got Jesus and Luis Diaz. So all of the usual suspects are still on screen right now. They're still up here as kind of players. The only real differentials here, I guess, if we only talk about the sensible picks here, Sterling is a bit of a differential there. Aside from that, there's not really too much. So look, it's difficult for me to say, like to kind of say who are the top picks. Like, obviously, we have to be a little bit speculative, and we know that Leicester have back-to-back fixtures against Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth, and we know that that's going to provide some points. Leicester have never struggled with scoring goals. The problem with Leicester has always been conceding goals. You know, they finished very high last season, even though they conceded so many goals, because they have that ability to score goals, and that's, you know, as important. You know, football's about scoring goals. That is a huge part of football. It's arguably the main part in football, and they don't struggle with that. So if you can get a nailed Leicester attacker, Maddison is the top pick. If you really want to double up, I am not against the idea of Harvey Barnes as well. He's rated really well by the algorithms as a potential pick. You know, a little bit cheaper as well. Like, how much cheaper is he actually? I think there's like almost $1 million in it between the two. So if you're on a real budget, 6.9 for Barnes, 7.9 for Maddison. So if you are on a real budget, there genuinely is an opportunity there for you guys. If you can't quite afford Maddison, say, I don't know, you're on like a Marcus Rashford, you're not convinced by him for game week 9, you can't afford to upgrade Rashford to Maddison, hey, why not take a punt on Barnes? You've been given an excuse to take a punt on someone who's a little bit different. Because Maddison is increasing in ownership, but he's, you know, even Maddison is still pretty low. But Barnes is 1.1% owned. That's really differential. We've seen some huge scores in the past from Maddison. We've seen some consistent returns from Maddison in the past. He hasn't done amazingly so far this season. I think Maddison has done a little bit better. He scored 3 goals in 6 games in the Premier League and 1 assist. People kind of were saying that Maddison was in bad form when I picked him for game week 8. People were saying, why are you buying Maddison? He's in bad form. Even at that point, it's 1 assist and 3 goals in 5 games. It's decent. It's very decent. What forward is the most nailed for Leicester? None of them. This is the problem. I know people want me to, like, I've already kind of figured out that people want me to recommend a Leicester forward. It seems like a really obvious thing to go for, but they're all so risky. All of them are so risky. I would not be touching any of them. Your best bet is to probably go on some... If you are really desperate to go to a Leicester forward, I don't want to be the guy to predict it. I would recommend going to find some Leicester fan forums, maybe the Leicester subreddit, maybe find some Leicester fans on Twitter, or, you know, big Leicester accounts, you know, especially ones that predict team sheets, and ask them who they think is going to start. Maybe we get some early team news. Sometimes we have got early team news in the past from Leicester. We've seen that on Twitter. Sam Martin is pretty good for it on Twitter. So there's potential there, but in general, I am not touching it. Nunes, Jota or Firmino, none of them. I don't think, all too rotation risk. I mean, maybe like now I think if you're going for Liverpool players, you wait till game week 13 before buying, right? I think like, the next 3 fixtures are not good for Liverpool. Brighton, Arsenal, Man City. I don't know. Leo says, one random great shout. I'm slipping down the ranks. All right, one random great shout. Well, I guess Maddison is the really obvious one for me to say. I know that's maybe not as out there as you probably want me to say, but Maddison for me is is really the number one pick. Like, you'll see tomorrow. No spoilers, but spoilers. Obviously, I'll make my buy, sell, keep, avoid video tomorrow. And Maddison will be one of the buys. I don't see any way of getting around that. I know he's not the most popular transferred in player in the world. We are seeing Saliba and Trippier ahead of him. Like, my word. I don't understand why people are transferring in Saliba when he's about to play Spurs and Liverpool, when Thomas Partey is injured, Tierney and Zinchenko are injured. Can't remember who else is injured, but half of the Arsenal defence is injured right now. And you're picking a defender who, like on my video, like, when was it? 2 days ago, my tier list video, but on buys. Obviously, I put Saliba in the avoid section. And I said, look, I know a lot of people are buying Saliba. If you disagree with me, I want to hear why. Like, I want to hear why you think Saliba is going to do this well this game week. And I asked the same question to those of you who are buying Saliba this week. I want to hear why you think Saliba is going to perform against Spurs and Liverpool. Why you think he's going to get clean sheets. Why you think he's going to score goals or get assists or whatever. Because when I asked this question in the last video, the answer was, I've just got a good feeling about him. And that comment had like 10 likes. It was like, I think Saliba's going to do well. Why? Because I got a good feeling about him. That's not enough for me. That is not enough for me. So, if someone has got a better explanation for me, I would love to hear why so many people are going for Saliba. I suspect it's because he scored 15 points last week. And people look at that 15-pointer and think, yeah, I want to get a 15-pointer too. Not really considering that he's not going to get that every week. I know he's got a 14-pointer against Bournemouth. I know he's got a 15-pointer against Brentford. It's not going to happen every week. And in games like Spurs and against Liverpool, can't see it happening. I would love to hear some justification. I'd love to be proven wrong, because if I'm missing something, I want to know about it so I can get Saliba in, right? I want to know if I need to get Saliba if I'm missing something. Anyway, right, let's have a look at some price changes. Again, we are, of course, on Fantasy Football Hub. Do go check them out, link in the description. And we've got a couple of predicted price rises tonight by the looks of things. So it looks like Tony, Maddison, and possibly Zaha are all going to increase in price tonight. It's because of the Saliba song, people are saying. Honestly, that would not surprise me. That would not surprise me. That's the reason I bought Saliba for my ultimate team. Anyway, Tony, Maddison going to go up in price. So Tony's going to go up to 7.3 tonight. Maddison's going to go up to 8. Zaha potentially 7.3. So it's a difficult one because we're in the international break and because we're waiting for more information about injuries and how players returning back to their clubs. How are they? Are they in good condition? We probably do want to wait before making transfers. But if you will have no money in the bank after making your transfer to Tony, if you have no money in the bank after making your transfer to Maddison, and this is literally your last opportunity to make these transfers, then maybe you need to do it. Maybe you just need to take the L and just make the early transfer. If you're on a wildcard or something, or you already have these players, then dubs for you. Dubs for you. Zaha Rise is interesting. Palace versus Chelsea. Yeah, I know. But I think Zaha is just a good FPL pick in general right now. Josh says Saliba is obviously going to score a hat-trick. Yeah. Let's see. I mean, honestly, as an Arsenal fan, I would love it if it happened. But I don't think it is. I don't think it is. But anyway, guys, with that all done, I'm going to wrap it up. But before we go any further, hey, does anyone want to join me on Twitch? Should we play? Does anyone want to join me for a continuation of the fun on stream? I'm going to be playing some FIFA, probably for the next FIFA 23 for the next few hours. Let's say a few hours over on Twitch. But we can talk about some FPL over there as well. And it's like, so far, I've been streaming all day today over on Twitch. And so far, it's been a much more kind of intimate, smaller crowd. So it is much easier for me to talk to all of you guys rather than just picking out a couple people and kind of like picking the most interesting comments. I can pretty much talk to anyone at any time on Twitch whilst I'm live. So yeah, it is going to be FIFA gameplay. So it's going to be primarily FIFA talk. But like today, we did a little bit of FPL as well. Just casually talking about FPL because we're all fans of the game. So yeah, the link is in the video description, but I'm also gonna put it a few times in the chat as well. So yeah, I'm gonna be going live on there probably in about, well, let me refill my drink, grab a snack, and yeah, I'll be going live over on Twitch again. We might even have some packs to open later, but I've built my team, so we're going to try and play a bit of Rivals, see how we get on as well. So yeah, I'm really excited to show you my FIFA 23 team, by the way. I think you're going to like it. I finished making the team. I just need to do the custom tactics and stuff now. But it's good. Anyway, hope to see a few of you guys over on Twitch. But aside from that, thank you so much for watching, guys. Do subscribe if you haven't done already. Really looking forward to getting back into some FPL this week as well. Like, we're back. FPL is back. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are really excited about that too. So, yeah, thank you so much for watching once again. Hopefully see a few of you guys over on Twitch. And I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.